Some stories you hear are just that, stories. But this one is true. And it begins with an old mirror in a new house. It was tucked away in the attic, covered in a dusty sheet, an ornate oval of silvered glass framed in dark, gnarled wood. Alex, still unpacking boxes in his recently purchased Victorian home, thought it was a lucky find. He lugged it downstairs, polished its surface until it gleamed, and hung it in the long, dim hallway. That's when he first saw it. His reflection was perfect, a faithful copy of his tired, smiling face. But for a split second it flickered. The image stuttered like a bad digital connection, and the room behind his reflection was not his hallway. It was a place of shadow and ruin, where wallpaper peeled from rotted walls and the air seemed thick with decay. He blinked and it was gone. His own familiar hallway stared back at him, solid and real. He dismissed it as a trick of the light, a symptom of exhaustion from the move. But the image of that other place lingered, a splinter in his mind. Days turned into a week, and the glitches became more frequent, more vivid. Each time he passed the mirror, the briefest of glimpses would assault him. A dark, twisted version of his own home. The curiosity was a gnawing hunger, overriding his fear. One evening, bathed in the low light of a single lamp, he stood before the mirror, his heart pounding a frantic rhythm against his ribs. The reflection wavered again, and this time, the dark room behind it stayed. He saw the decaying hallway, the splintered floorboards, the oppressive silence hanging in the air. Compelled by a force he couldn't name, he lifted a trembling hand. He expected to feel the cold, hard surface of the glass, but his fingers met no resistance. They sank into the reflection as if it were water, the surface rippling around his wrist. A powerful, unseen force seized him, pulling him forward. The world dissolved into a vertiginous blur of light and shadow, and with a sickening lurch he was thrown onto a hard, dusty floor. He was through. He was in the silent, decaying version of his own house. The air was stagnant, heavy with the smell of mold and something else, something metallic and foul. Every surface was coated in a fine layer of gray dust, and the silence was absolute, a crushing weight that seemed to suck all sound from the world. He took a tentative step, the floorboard groaning under his weight, the sound unnaturally loud in the dead quiet. From the far end of the hallway, a shape detached itself from the deeper darkness. It was tall and gaunt, moving with a disjointed, twitching gait that was horribly familiar. As it shambled into a sliver of weak gray light filtering through a grimy window, Alex's breath caught in his throat. It was him, a version of him but twisted, with limbs that seemed too long, a face contorted into a permanent predatory grin, and eyes that were nothing but black, empty pits. The creature's head snapped towards him, its grin widening. A low, guttural hiss echoed in the hall, and it began to move, not walking but flowing across the floor, a predator hunting its prey. Panic pure and primal seized Alex. He scrambled backward, his feet slipping on the dusty floorboards. He turned and ran, his lungs burning, his mind screaming. The thing was behind him, its silent, relentless pursuit more terrifying than any sound could be. He could feel its cold presence, a wave of pure malevolence at his back. The mirror, it was his only way out. He burst back into the hall where he had entered, the silver oval shimmering like a portal to salvation. He didn't hesitate. He threw himself at the surface, a desperate flying leap. For a heart-stopping moment, he thought he would smash against solid glass, but then the world twisted again, and he was tumbling back onto the warm, polished wood of his own hallway. He lay there, gasping for air, his body shaking uncontrollably. He pushed himself up and looked at the mirror. Standing there on the other side was his sinister doppelganger. It didn't try to cross. It simply stood there, its black eyes fixed on him, its awful grin spreading across its face. It raised a hand and placed it flat against the glass, a gesture of ownership. Alex was free, but he was no longer alone. His personal monster was now living in his reflection, watching and waiting. And if you think this is just a story, then I invite you to look a little closer the next time you pass a mirror. Look past your own reflection, and you might just see what's waiting on the other side.